Hey guys, welcome to Revive Rebuild Garage. This is Edelbrock 1406 4-barrel carburetor that I bought at a flea market probably 2 or 3 years ago for 50 bucks. Obviously needs a rebuild, so I got a rebuild kit, and I'm gonna try to throw a rebuild kit in it and throw it on my truck and see how it works. So let's get into her. So this isn't really that bad. I expected worse. I've seen ones worse than this anyways. I just peeled the top off there. There's the floats and everything. You can see all the scale and stuff on it from the old fuel. But honestly, I was expecting worse. But look at this accelerator pump. It's cooked. Seals right off it. Yeah, she's cooked. Anyways, the kit I got has one in it, so we'll replace that too. All right, let's continue on here. You never really know what you're gonna get into buying a used carb like this, but for the price of it, I took a chance. So it doesn't appear to be like damaged or anything. That was my only concern. Because some guys will just friggin' get in here and start monkeying around and rack threads or snap off bolts and stuff like that. Stuff like that sometimes very difficult to fix, time consuming. But this one doesn't appear to have been messed with a whole lot. So it's worth the hassle of me putting a rebuild kit in it. I hope anyways. I rebuilt the quadrajet that's on my truck, and I think it has a vacuum leak where this throttle assembly goes through the side of the carb on that quadrajet. I think that there's a shaft that goes through the actual body of the carb. I think it's wore out. I think that's where I'm actually getting a vacuum leak on it, so I'm pretty much just done messing with it. I'll try this one here. These are supposedly good working carbs. Easy to tune, easy to work on, simple, so that's what I want. Alright. And none of this stuff actually looks really terrible, surprisingly. Appears to be operating correctly. Even these gaskets don't even look that bad, really, but I'm gonna replace everything anyways. It's got some old fuel and scale and stuff on it. But I mean, I know nothing about this carb. I just bought it from some guy that had it on the table for 50 bucks, so. It's got some gunk and whatnot in it, you can see down inside. Take this choke off. This one has an electric choke. The Quadrajet I have has an electric choke too. It's actually not hooked up right now, but this carburetor already seems actually a little more simple, because it would have took about an hour and a half to get to this point with a Quadrajet. There's like 5,000 pieces inside of one. So there's the choke with the spring. I'll have to see if that works. If you ever want to see if these work, what I do is I'll, oh, I guess this one doesn't come out. But anyways, you can test these. You can just take a small propane torch, put some heat to it, and that should coil out like, oh, my hand's in the way. It should coil out like this. That's what actually opens your choke. It's supposed to simulate like when your engine heats up. So that's how I test them to see if they work. I'll test that one before I actually put it on my truck. So I'm gonna see. Shouldn't have to pull these butterflies out, but we'll see if we can get this needle out here. I've taken out pretty much everything I can take out on the base of this carburetor, as far as the insides anyways. So what I'm going to do is actually soak this thing in carb cleaner now. Let it sit for a while, and then I'll blow it all out before I actually start putting it back together. I still have to remove the floats and needles and everything from this top portion, but I'm going to soak this part for now. Got the new gasket on there. I cleaned up these needles and put them back in. I ended up using the old seats for the needles because I didn't really like the looks of the new ones. And not to mention, where is one here? I'll grab one here. The slots on the top, if you can see it, almost impossible to get a screwdriver through there. They're just tiny. For the width of a flathead that you need to cover that whole thing, I'd have to like file one down to fit it in that slot. So anyways, I'm gonna put these pins back in here to hold this float. These are new floats. I'm using the old pins. Just cleaning some of the scale off these pins before I put them back in. So I'll grab the new needle. There's my new needle. I'll throw that in the seat. Put this float on. Tab down, if you can see this tab. That tab goes down like this, facing down on the top of the needle. Appear to be working correctly. All right, now I gotta do a little bit of research here. I'm looking to set this float height here. I'll see what I can find out. Because there should be a float height from this gasket face, and then like a resting float height from this gasket face, and then like an ultimate drop float dimension from this gasket face also. All right, so from the face of this gasket to the bottom of the float in the seated position is supposed to be 7/16. If everybody can see that. So as it sits right here with the needle seated, should be 7/16 to the bottom face of this float. And how you achieve that, you actually bend this right here. This float, you can bend it right here, just behind where it's soldered. This actual keeper on the back is soldered right to this float itself. You just bend it right in there where it's notched out, kind of. I already set that one before I turned the camera on, so it's pretty much right on. 7/16. This one's way out. This might be easier with this out. And bend this one with pliers. I think it's gonna be easier. Well, That's what you get with these cheap carburetor kits. That one just broke. I'll use one of these original floats that was in it.
I just hit a rock and got scared. They went right over the handlebars.
Yeah.
But I thought of the old Gavin tucked and rolled, and I landed it.
Nice.
That was sweet. Went right over the handlebars, just tuck and roll. Just gotta remember Gavin. It's so weird how he just like crashes and then he's fine.
This one should already be preset because this is the one that was in it to begin with.
See you later.
See you, buddy.
Good luck.
Thanks. It's a little low. Okay. And then the full drop on these floats is supposed to be 15/16. Wow, that's like, yeah, that's way, way off. So once again, that's 15/16. So full drop would be like your float all the way up, like that. And then 15/16 to the bottom face. So I'll check this one here. That one's pretty well bang on. This one here is gonna need some bending. You just bend this tab on the back. Actually, I can show you this one since it broke. You bend this tab on the back of that float, this tab here, and that sets your drop. That's actually pretty darn close. Oops. One more small little bend here. That should be it. Hello?
Hello?
Who is this? Oh. Where am I? At my house. Hmm? Yeah. Why? Right. All right, that's pretty good there. So that looks good. So now I can continue on with the assembly here. I got these Venturi boosters back in here now with new gaskets on it and everything. These back two are exactly the same. And one thing I found out when I was putting these front two in, make sure you pay attention when you take it apart. There's actually a notch in this front part. These sides are actually different. You can't put one side on the other. I tried and it didn't fit properly. So watch that when you put it back together. There's a notch down in this front corner you'll see when you take them off. So those are actually, they're not the same. They only go on one way. So I got this pretty much most of the way back together here now. I did find one thing. I actually kind of noticed this online, guys that use these ones, but I bought the cheapy carb kit for this, and I actually had to drill that hole bigger because this S-hook, it hooks onto the accelerator pump, wouldn't fit through there. I actually had to open that up to get that pin to go through because it was too small right out of the package. So I'll do my little test here to see if this choke coil works, and I'll show you guys that. See how it's moving? So that one actually works. That's how I test these to see if they work. Put some heat on them. Heat gun will work too. Put a heat gun on them and they should spin. That's the whole purpose. It's supposed to close your choke as your engine warms up. Or open your choke, I should say. Open your choke, sorry. Your choke's closed when your engine starts like this, right? And then as that heats up, it actually pulls it and opens it back, right? So got this all back together now, everything's on, choke and everything. This video's, I know, kind of cut up, but I was trying to do this while playing with my kids and stuff. My boys wanted to play catch and other things and whatever, so tried to do what I could and keep them happy too. So yeah, so this is it. I'm hoping that this is going to work a lot better than that Quadrajet that I have. I guess we'll see. The only thing I'm going to need, because I have a stock intake on that truck, I'm going to need the round bore to a square bore adapter to go on the bottom. But this one has this has the gasket, the square bore gasket. So I'll put that on the bottom of this, and then I'm going to need the adapter underneath that, and then I have the original round bore gasket that goes underneath that that's on my intake right now. So yeah, I'm hoping for less than $100 here. I'm gonna have a carburetor that's works pretty good. It's got more performance and works a little better than that Quadrajet. I've been told these things work pretty good, so I guess we'll find out and see. So anyways, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching, guys. This is the carb that was in my truck, Quadrajet 4-barrel. I'm assuming like, I don't know, 40 some odd years old. I don't really know, to be honest with you. But I think honestly it's just like I rebuilt it and I tried the best I could. I watched a bunch of videos, did a bunch of research. I bought the actual good like rebuild kit for it. It was like $100 and something. And yeah, I don't know if I missed a few steps or didn't do a few things properly or didn't set something properly, or I'm really not sure, to be honest with you. I've been told that these are very finicky, tricky carburetors, and I kind of found that out. Lots of guys online say that they're great, and I'm sure that they are if you really know what you're doing and you've done like a bunch of them and you have the experience. I just honestly don't. So I think that's kind of partially what my problem is. Having said that, I also think that like these shafts all have play in them. Like if you guys can see that. So I honestly think that like I have, like look at the play in that baby. I think I'm getting a vacuum leak. I think that's what my problem was. Cause like this thing would just die driving. Like just like somebody turned the key off. Driving down the road and it was just literally shut right off, spit and sputter and died after let off the gas. So anyways, I have that Edelbrock in there now, and I mean like my truck has never worked so good since I built it. And I wish I would have just done this to begin with, put an Edelbrock carburetor on it, and everybody told me that, but this was the Quadrajet that was on it when I got it, and I was like, hey, I'll just rebuild it, and probably should be pretty simple, have a good running truck, and I've done nothing but fight with this thing since day one. So I'm gonna put this on a shelf or something, or take it to the scrapyard. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it, but anyways, I'm done with it for now. So I didn't really get into like really intricate into rebuilding that carburetor. Honestly, more or less, like I'm not a mechanic. Like this video is basically more or less for entertainment purposes. Like if you want a video on how to rebuild an Edelbrock carburetor, I would watch. I mean, there's a ton of guys on here that know way more than I do about it and know, could tell you all the specifications and how everything should be exactly, and they have way more knowledge than I do. Like that's the first time I ever rebuilt one. So having said that, I mean, I don't claim to be any pro at it or anything, but I mean, like that was quite simple personally. I've done way more difficult stuff than that. I've rebuilt like dozens of small engine carburetors and four-wheeler carburetors and stuff like that. But as far as like vehicle carburetors, 4 barrels and stuff like that, like Quadrajets, Edelbrocks, Hollies, things like that, I've literally done just that one Edelbrock that you watched me just do, and I did one Quadrajet before that, and it didn't really turn out. So anyways, if you want a really in-depth video, I would suggest watching something else on YouTube. As far as if you want some tips and tricks and stuff like that, this is more or less just for entertainment. I wanted to see if this would work in my truck a little bit better. So that's it for this one. It's getting late. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Take it easy.